He knows how great you are at your work, and he wants you to be there to help him with his. They want a dinner meeting with you to plan a family vacation. He achieved all his goals. Did you see them? When your calendar at work is booked solid, she wants to know that you always have time for her. She heard you're the top sales agent in your office. Now she really wants to go door to door with you. You know how to make your clients feel special. She wants you to make her big day that way. What would you do to hold on to them forever?
Louis Upkins has not only asked himself these questions, but has answered the call from many CEOs, business leaders, and owners who have turned to him for advice in their own life. Though most have achieved great success within their business and in dealing with their customers, they seem to be challenged in finding the same success in their families at home. Louis Upkins' experience in keeping customers happy is well documented. He's worked with clients like Starbucks, UPS, Cracker Barrel, McDonald's, and many others. Whether you are on your career path, whether you are a CEO of a major corporation, a small business owner, or a beginning entrepreneur, you will discover solutions to living life successfully at work and at home through Louis Upkins' book, Treat Me Like a Customer.
Welcome. And in this segment, my special guest is Louis Upkins Jr. In the corporate world, Louis is known as an entrepreneur, a specialist in marketing and branding, and has served many of the Fortune 500 companies like UPS and Starbucks, even celebrities who he has worked with like Oprah, among others. But now Louis has ventured into the world of writing with a new book entitled Treat Me Like a Customer. Louis, I'd like to begin at the beginning. Where did you get the title, Treat Me Like a Customer?
Looking at an issue that has pained me for a long time, and seeing so many highly successful people build careers and lose their families for pretty much the same reasons, and that is just striving for success and stepping on anybody and everybody along the way, and thinking, how could you translate a message to that general consumer that would impact family and culture around the world in a way in which they understand it. And so customer is a common word, it's a common language to everybody at every level. And so that's kind of the premise behind it.
Now, I thought I read somewhere, though, there's an anecdote that goes with the expression of asking to be treated like a customer. That has something to do with this title, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, the thing is, we treat our customers better than we treat most people. And, you know, the bottom line in corporate America is that, you know, your customer is a vital part of your revenue drive. And so when you're mistreating customers, you're losing money. And the premise is we value that money. And in our families, we often don't value them. That's why we treat them worse or less than we treat our best customers. So the premise is simply to say, treat me at least at a minimum how well you treat your customers.
Now, is it true, though, that line came from a friend of yours who
Absolutely.
had an interaction with his wife? And she actually said, treat me like you do your customers.
Absolutely. It was a friend of mine who had asked me to join him for lunch. And we were talking, and he began to share a little bit about where he was and where he thought I should be. And we began to talk about just the direct distinctions between how the husband handles the business and how the wife handles the home. And he said, watch this, Louis, I'll get on the phone right now, I'll call her and talk about our family plan and this type of thing. And when he got home that evening, she wasn't very happy with that phone call. And she pronounced to him, you know, why don't you treat me like you treat your customer? Why don't you treat me like you treat, you know, Joe Blow? You know, you treat these guys so much better than you treat me.
Now, you mentioned in the book that women tend to innately kind of pick up on some of these principles on their own, and that you intended the book more for men. Would you say that men are the audience of the book?
I would say that the book was written certainly with men in mind, because that's who I have most of the one-on-ones with. Mm-hmm. But I would say that the book is really a tool for the women, because they're the recipients of the pain. They're the recipients of an absentee husband. They're the recipients of a husband that's way out of balance. And so I think it gives them a tool and a communication tool that resonates with that husband's business language. They understand business. And so I think it's something that that clearly resonates for women, and I think it's something that clearly resonates for men.
Tell us a bit about how does the win-win concept that we all strive for in the business setting, how does win-win apply at home?
Compromise. You know, it's no different than in business. And at home, there are times when, you know, is being right always the right answer? Mm-hmm. You know, there's times that you just have to say, you know what, it's okay for me to be wrong right now, although I know I'm right. It's okay for me to be wrong, and still have the balance of the evening with a smile, versus I've got to be right, but I'm going to have a cold bed. But I'm going to be right, you know.
Just the same way you tell a customer,
Yeah.
Oh, sure, you're absolutely right, even though you know, it was your mistake.
And you know they're wrong.
Right.
But is it worth you losing the customer? Is it worth you insulting the customer? Is it worth you challenging his word over and over when you know you've got data to support your answer? Mm-hmm. But you look at that customer and you say, you know what, it's okay. I'll take the low road. You're absolutely right, sir. We'll be happy to continue to do what we need to do.
When you've got a relationship that's in distress, when someone reads your book, how soon can they start applying these principles and seeing results?
So this is not something that's going to take you 24 months to watch results begin to happen. I think this is something that results can begin to happen literally as soon as you put it down, because you can begin to start with very simple decisions. For example, I'll give you a good case point. There's a gentleman that read the book and said to me the very next day, his wife asked him to go get her sandwich. He went, ran off, bought the sandwich, came back. It was the wrong sandwich. And he said, and as soon as he pulled in the driveway, he thought, man, she wanted this. And he's like, you know what? If a customer said they wanted this sandwich, I'd go back and get the right sandwich. He made a U-turn. He went back and got the sandwich. He emailed me. He said, I'm treating my wife like a customer. So now every morning I wake up and I ask my wife, how's my best customer doing? And what can I do for you? And so I think that there's humor in it. We can find fun in the process. This is not something that should be that should burden someone. This is something that simply, it's just a different perspective. And you can start as easily and as soon as one wants to. It's really up to you.
But if someone had to walk away from a read of this book with just a few nuggets, what would those key concepts be?
Here's my hope, is that I hope that when people will read this book and they will take away whatever nuggets are relevant for them, that they will be able to actualize and see difference and change in their family. And they'll be able to point back to a time and place that they got it. And they said, you know what? It's really not rocket science. I began to love my wife and view our challenges or view my husband in ways in which I never thought about before. For a business guy, he will begin to look at that